Hare Krishna, dear Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Bol. Okay, we'll get started with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yadkrpatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Krishna Chaitanyamishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. We are continuing from verse number 13, and this is chapter 11. Krishna enters Dwaraka. In the previous chapter, we saw how Lord Krishna left Hastinapur. He was there in Hastinapur for a while after Yudhishthir Maharaj regained the kingdom right after the Kurukshetra battle. He stayed with his relatives so that he could please them, and then he left. And with a very heavy heart, they sent him off. And then the Lord entered Dwaraka. So, as he entered Dwaraka, he sounded the conch shell, and this conch shell heralded his arrival, and it dispelled the dejection that the citizens had in their hearts. And the citizen, they began to welcome the Lord. So that is what we saw in the previous class. We saw how they were extremely happy to see the Lord. They considered it their greatest fortune, and their unbearable separation was mitigated. So this is what we saw so far, and now we are going to see the description of the beautification of the city of Dwaraka. So, verses 11 and 12 has already been covered by Mataji, and she told us how Dwaraka was protected by the Vrishnis, and it was filled with all kinds of opulences of various seasons. And there were hermitages, orchards, gardens, parks, reservoirs of lotuses everywhere. So, this was the beauty of Dwaraka. Now, from verse 13 onwards, we will see the festive signs that were seen in Dwaraka as Krishna was entering. Because Krishna was entering Dwaraka, the citizens got everything ready. They were very excited to welcome Sri Krishna. So, let's also go to Dwaraka and let's see how the city was decorated. गोपुरद्वारमार्गेषु कृतकौतुकतोरणं चित्रध्वज पताकाग्रैरन्तप्रतिहतातपम्. Where is my word to word? Just give me a second. Mm. 30. Okay, so let's see the word to word. Gopuram. Gopuram, you all know what Gopura is. The beautiful tower. So the gateway of the city, it was towering. It is called as the Gopura. Dwara Margeshu. Dwara is the door. Margeshu is different kinds of roads. Krita Kautuka Toranam. So you all know what Toranam is. Toranam is the beautiful arch in the doorway. And Chitra Dwaja Patakagrair. You all know what Pataka is, Dwaja is. So Dwaja is flag, and Pataka Agrahi means by different signs. So they were beautiful flags, there was beautiful signs, they were chitra, everywhere it was painted, and Pratihata Atapam. So there was nice sunshine. So they had to have a shade to protect the houses from sunshine. Like you see in ancient homes, they have a nice thatched roof in the front so that the house is protected from sunshine. Actually, even modern day homes, even in the US also, you see that the sunshine just doesn't directly enter the entrance door of the house. There is always a beautiful shade both at the back entrance as well as in the front entrance of the house. So, like that, the city gateway of Dwaraka, the household doors, everything was very, very well decorated with festive signs. And Prabhupada talks about plantain trees and mango leaves. When we talk about Toranam, we often think of nice mango leaves that they use to decorate the archway of the house. So similarly in Dwaraka, there were plantain trees and mango leaves. Usually during every festival, you have these beautiful plantain trees on both sides, which is used to decorate. And then there is a nice toran of mango leaves, right? So like that, all the houses were very, very nicely decorated. Not only that they had different flags. And Prabhupada in the purport, he'll mention that these flags usually are of Garuda and Hanuman generally. And then there were beautiful garlands and painted signs and slogans all combined to shade the sunshine. So there were nice flags and a beautiful toran, and it was looking very, very nice. So in the purport, Prabhupada says the signs of decoration and special festivals were also collected from gifts of nature. So today, unfortunately, even our toran is plastic toran, right? Even I have a toran in my house, and though it's shaped like a mango leaf, it is made of plastic. The plastic is painted with green paint, and it looks like a mango leaf toran, and we put it on our arch door, on the entrance of the door. So that's how today's decorations are. But then in those days, it was all very, very original, very traditional. So the signs of decoration and special festivals, they were also collected from gifts of nature. So nature is giving us all these decorative items like plantain trees and mango trees and fruits and flowers. So like this, these mango trees, coconut palms, plantain trees, they are all considered very auspicious signs. It is not enough if we just put something in plastic for it to be auspicious. But then if the real ones are used, it is a sign of auspiciousness. And Prabhupada very nicely mentions that the flags are either painted of the picture of Garuda or Hanuman, because they are the top two servitors of the Lord. They are like the lotus feet of the Lord, meaning they are the carriers of the Lord. Garuda is the main carrier of the Lord, and Hanuman is also a carrier of Lord Ramchandra, right? So they are the very, very powerful servants of the Lord. So generally, you see decorations are marked with either a picture of Garuda or Hanuman. Even to this day, if you go to India and many places, they have these mango leaves, and one side there is a Garuda picture folding his palms, and on the other side there is a Hanuman picture folding his palms. So you will see these things even if you go to India. If you observe the entrance of doors of homes and temples, you can see these signs. So these two are considered great servitors of the Lord. So for devotees, such paintings and decorations are very well adored, and it is obviously done for the satisfaction of the Lord. So this is how the gateways of Dwarka were. The houses and the entrance of the city was all well decorated. Okay, let's see how else the roads were kept. समार्जित महामार्ग रत्यापन्नकचात्वरं सिक्तं गन्धजलैरुक्तां फलपुष्पाक्षताङ्कुरै. Anyone wants to read translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. The highways, subways, lanes, markets, and public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord, fruits, flowers, and unbroken seeds were strewn everywhere.
Thank you. So there are a few mentions here. One is different kinds of roadways that were present in those days. So not only were they big highways, the Mahamarga, which is the highway, there were also Rathyas, the smaller lanes, sub-roads. And then there was Apanuka, which is the marketplaces, Chatvaram, places for public meetings, and all these different lanes and roads, they were all moistened with water, because when you have to make the soil firm, you sprinkle water and it looks very nice. You sprinkle water in the roadways. See, in those days they didn't have tar roads, okay, like what we have today. They had only dirt roads, and these dirt roads, to prevent the dust from getting picked up by the wind, they would sprinkle some water and make it firm. So that's what they did. Siktham gandha jalaihi. So they moistened it not with ordinary water, but with gandha jalai. That means with nice scented water. And it was also strewn with beautiful flowers. You have seen this oftentimes, right? So when we want to give a welcome to someone, we sprinkle flowers in the pathway, and nice fruits and unbroken rice were all and seeds were all sprinkled. So this unbroken rice seed, all this is a sign of auspiciousness and also a sign of opulence. This is a nature's opulence. So they are exhibiting these. It's a way of giving gifts to the person who's coming, welcoming them very nicely. So in the purport, Prabhupada says scented waters prepared by distilling flowers like rose and cura were requestioned to wet the roads, streets and lanes of Dwarka Dham. So they had beautiful scented flower waters, and they strewn this all over Dwarka Dham. Not only in the main roads, but also in the smaller roads, in the public places, and so on. And we can see from this description that Dwarka was a very big place. It was no small city. It was a very, very nice place, very well structured. They had different kinds of roads, different parks, gardens, reservoirs of water, everything. And it was a well planned city, basically. And unbroken seeds or grains and fruits are considered very auspicious, and they are still used by Hindus on general festive days. So even now there is a tradition of sprinkling flowers, taking flowers and putting it in the pathway, or even that rice which is covered with haldi, which is covered with the turmeric, It is sprinkled everywhere as a sign of auspiciousness. Generally, when we give blessings, also rice, the unbroken rice smeared with turmeric is sprinkled on the uh, people for as a mark of blessing. Interestingly, it is not only a not only there in the Vedic culture, it is there even in the Western culture. Because once I happened to attend a wedding of my cousin who was getting married to an American, and I saw they also have the same culture. They sprinkle, they shower grains, rice actually, but it's not rice covered with haldi. It is just plain rice at the end of the wedding. They were also showering. That was quite interesting to see. In their culture, also, they have similar adaptations from the Vedic tradition. So that is a mark of auspiciousness. Text 15. द्वारि द्वारि गृहणां च दधि आसक्तफलेक्षुभिः अलङ्कृतां पूर्णकुम्भाभिर् कुम्भैर्बलिभिर्धूपदीपिकैः. So in every house, dwari dwari, in every doorway, every house, they had auspicious things like yogurt, dahi, unbroken fruits, phalam, and they had sugar cane. This is another mark of auspiciousness during festival days. They not only have plantain trees, but they also have sugar cane, huge sugar cane from the root up to the branches. They have the entire sugarcane plant. And they also keep full water pots of articles of worship with incense and candles, which means with beautiful deepas. The entire house is lit with deepas. The entrance is also lit with beautiful diyas so that they can welcome the Lord. So Prabhupada says in the purport that this is the traditional Vedic way of reception, and these ingredients and these rites are never dry. He says it is not at all dry. Because they are real things that are used. Ingredients like incense, lamps, flowers, sweets, fruits, palatable eatables, all this is there to welcome the Lord according to one's capacity. And whatever was offered to the Lord was later distributed to the citizens who were present. So it was not a dry reception like modern days where you just say hi, hello, and then you shake hand, you bring them in. It was just not like that. Every household, they went, they offered something to the Lord, and then the remnants, it was distributed to all the hungry people, to all the citizens. So, like this, Prabhupada says, with even if it is a welcoming festival where you're just welcoming one person, even then there is food distribution that is a part of the festival. So, without food distribution, no function is considered complete, and this is the way of Vedic culture. So we read this again over and even now, right? Even if you have a Bhakti Vriksha program, it is not complete without food distribution. Especially in ISKCON, it is not complete without ending your meal with a sweet. Right? Without sweets, nobody even offers a meal today. So food distribution is such an important part of our culture. In fact, in our society is called as kitchen religion because it's all about prasadam, prasadam, prasadam. So without prasadam, nothing is complete. And so was Dwaraka. So they had lots of beautiful articles to offer to the Lord. It was not something dry. It was real fruits and nice flowers. And they also distributed it among all the citizens who were present there after offering it to the Lord. So we are continuing to see how every house was decorated. But now we are going to see who all came out to welcome the Lord. So these are all very close associates of the Lord, and Prabhupada has taken a lot of effort to describe each of these associates. So we will also go through the purport and we'll see all these close associates of the Lord. निशम्य प्रेष्टम् आयन्तं वसुदेवो महामनाः अक्रूरश्चो उग्रसेनश्च रामश्च अद्भुतविक्रमः प्रद्युम्नाश्चारुधेष्णश्च साम्बोजाम्बवती सुतः प्रहर्ष वेगो उच्चैश्त शय्यासन भोजनाः. Anybody wants to read translation?
Translation. On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwarka Dham, magnanimous Vasudev, Akrura, Ugrasen, Balaram, the superhumanly powerful, Pradyumna, Charudeshna, and Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abandoned resting, sitting, and dining. Hare Krishna.
So they abandoned Shayana and Asana. Shayana, Asana, Bhojana. They abandoned all of this. Shayana is lying down, Asana is sitting, and Bhojana is dining. So they just gave up everything and with force, with Vega, they just went running out to receive Sri Krishna. And who are the people who went to receive Krishna? The first person mentioned is Vasudev. He's magnanimous Vasudev. Mahamanaha. He's very, very magnanimous. He's the great father of Sri Krishna. Then we have Akrura, who is, of course, you all know Akrura, how he took away Krishna from the gopis of Vrindavan. So there's Akrura, and then there is Ugrasena. Ugrasena is the father of Kamsa, the actual king of Dwaraka. Balarama. Balarama is mentioned as Adbhuta Vikramaha. So he is a performer of superhuman activities. So he is Balarama. Then there is Pradyumna, who's the son of Sri Krishna. Charadeshna is also the son of Krishna. Samba, who's also the son of Krishna, the favorite son of Krishna, the son of Jambavati. And all these people I mentioned, they were all so happy. Some of them were sitting, some of them were sleeping, some of them were eating, some of them were doing other things. But they just left everything and they went running to receive the Lord. So about each of one of these, Prabhupada has taken efforts to write about them. So we'll also quickly go through a few lines about all these personalities. First is Vasudeva. Krishna is called as Vasudeva because he's the son of Vasudeva. So this is Vasudeva. Vasudeva, his father's name was Shurasena. There are two personalities, Ugrasena, Shurasena. Shurasena's son is Vasudeva. Ugrasena's son is Kamsa Maharaj. Okay. So this is Shurasena. Shurasena's son was Vasudeva, and Vasudeva was also the husband of Devaki and the father of Sri Krishna. And interestingly, we should know that he's also the brother of Kunti Maharani. And he's also the father of Shubhadra because Subhadra, Krishna, they are all siblings, you all know. Krishna, Balram, Subhadra. So he's also the father of Subhadra. And Subhadra was married to her cousin Arjun, and Prabhupada says this system is still prevalent in some parts of India. So you know that one can marry one's cousin provided the cousin is not of the same gotra, which means in the same seminal lineage you don't marry your cousin, but then the father's sister's son can be married, or your mother's brother's son can be married to you, like that. So that is the tradition. It's a part of Indian culture and it is nothing surprising. Prabhupada says it is still prevalent in some parts of India. Nowadays, they discourage that because the children born tend to have a lot of physical ailments because of very close genetics. But otherwise, it was something that was quite prevalent for many, at least till 2 generations back, I've heard of this being very common. So this is still prevalent in some parts of India. Vasudev, Vasudev was appointed minister of Ugrasen, and later on he marries the 8 daughters of Ugrasen's brother Devaka. So basically, Ugrasen had a brother by the name Devaka, and Devaka's children, girls, they were married to Vasudev. Okay, so Devaka had 8 daughters, including Devaki, and they were all married to Vasudev. And Kamsa was the brother-in-law of Vasudev. And then Vasudev accepted voluntary imprisonment by this Kamsa because he promised to deliver the 8th son of Devaki, who was actually Sri Krishna. And finally, Krishna, he foiled the plans and he went away across the river Yamuna to Nanda Maharaja's house. So now Krishna, he was related to the Pandavas. They were also cousins. And he accompanied the Pandavas through their various difficulties. And Vasudev, he sent for priest Kashyapa at Shatashringa Parvata and he executed the functions when the Pandavas were there. When Krishna appeared within the bars of Kamsa's prison house, he was transferred to by Vasudev to the house of Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Krishna and Gokul. Krishna disappeared along with Balaram prior to the disappearance of Vasudev, and Arjun, who's Vasudev's nephew, undertook the charge of the funeral ceremony of Vasudev's disappearance. So I think this is some nice information Prabhupada is giving us, that it was Arjun who actually took charge of the funeral ceremony of Vasudev, because Vasudev survived even his sons Krishna and Balaram. So only after Krishna and Balaram disappeared from this world, only after that Vasudev actually gave up his body, and his final rites were performed by Arjun. So this is a lot about Vasudev. Now the next character discussed is Akrura. You all know Akrura was the commander-in-chief of the Vrishni dynasty, and he was a very close associate of Sri Krishna. He was also a great devotee, and the one limb of devotional service that he perfected is anybody? Anyone wants to answer?
Vandanam.
Yeah, very beautiful. Thank you. Very beautiful limb of devotional service, Vandanam. And there is some interesting information Prabhupada gives. He says he was the husband of a Sutani daughter of Ahuka. So this Ahuka, he is sometimes identified as Ugrasen and sometimes identified as Ugrasen's father. Okay. So that is the identity of Ahuka. If you read Mahabharata, in some places it is mentioned as Ugrasen's father, but in some other places, Ugrasen himself is identified as Ahuka. So basically, Ahuka, he had a Suta wife. He had a wife from a lower caste, and their daughter was given to Akrura. So Akrura was the husband of the Sutani daughter of Ahuka. Okay. And he supported Arjun when Arjun took Subhadra away by the will of Krishna. And both Krishna and Akrura, they went to see Arjun after he successfully kidnapped Subhadra. And both of them, they gave dowries to Arjun after this incident. Akrura was also present when Abhimanyu was married to Uttara, who's the mother of Parikshit. Ahuka, who's the father of Akrura, was never in good terms with Akrura. So there's always a fight between Ahuka and Akrura. But however, yeah, both of them were great devotees of the Lord. So this is a mention here. When it appears that in this particular paragraph where there's a description of Akrura, Ahuka seems to be Ugrasen's father. Because Ugrasen's father and Akrura, they were never in good terms. That is what we read in Mahabharata. Okay, now Ugrasena, the next character. Ugrasena, he was one of the kings of the Vrishni dynasty, and of course, he was the cousin of Maharaj Kunti Bhoja. And later we know how Vasudev's sister Kunti Devi was given to as a daughter to Kunti Bhoja. His name is sometimes his other name is called as Ahuka. His minister was Vasudev. Vasudev was actually in the ministry of Ugrasena, and Ugrasen's son was Kamsa. And Kamsa, he tries to win over everything, and he even imprisons his father, and he becomes the king of Mathura. And by the grace of Krishna and Baladev, Kamsa was killed, and Ugrasena again was reinstalled into the throne on the throne. So then, when Shalva attacked the city of Dwaraka, Ugrasen fought very valiantly, and he repulsed the enemy. Ugrasena inquired from Narada about the divinity of Krishna. That's how he gets to know about the truth of Krishna. And when the Yadu dynasty was to be vanquished, Ugrasen was the one who gave orders that the iron lump produced from the womb of Samba should be cut into pieces, and it should be mixed into the seawater in Dwaraka. So this pastime comes later when Samba and his friends, they go and they get cursed by some sages, and because of that, Samba gives birth to basically a lump of iron on the tip of kings. And then Ugrasen is the one who tells that you have to pulverize this and just put it in the ocean. But then later we know how that it grew into huge canes, and that little lump of iron was later swallowed by a fish, and then Jara got it, and then he sharpened his arrow with that, and finally he shot that arrow that touched Krishna's feet. And taking that as a hint, I mean, taking that as an sign, Krishna decided to leave this world. So basically, Ugrasen was the one who gave those orders. That's what is mentioned here. The next personality is Baladev. We all know who Baladev is. He's the son of Vasudev from his wife Rohini. He's also called as Rohini Nandana. And he was also entrusted to Nanda Maharaj along with his mother Rohini when Vasudev was in prison. And Nanda Maharaj is also the foster father of Baladev. Lord Krishna and Balaram, they were constant companions from their childhood, though they were stepbrothers. And Mm. He's the plenary manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's as powerful as Krishna. And yes, he belongs to the Vishnu Tattva. And he attended the ceremony of Draupadi along with Sri Krishna. And Subhadra was kidnapped by Arjun as a plan of Krishna, but Baladev was not for it. He was very angry with Arjun and he was opposing it. But however, Sri Krishna, for the sake of his friend, he goes and falls at the feet of Baladev and told him not to be angry because it was Krishna's desire that Subhadra should marry Arjun. And like this, Baladev was satisfied. And he was once very, very angry with the Kauravas. There is this beautiful pastime where Balram gets very angry and he starts pulling his plow and saying that he would destroy the entire city of Hastinapur and throw it into the Yamuna. But then we know how the Kauravas satisfied him and they surrendered unto his lotus feet. So this Baladev was the seventh son of Devaki before the birth of Krishna. And by the will of the Lord and with the help of Yoga Maya, he was transferred into the womb of Rohini. And his other name is Shankar Sana because he was attracted, he was pulled out, and he's the one who joins the two families. So he's also called as Sankarsana. And he's called as Baladeva because he's very, very powerful, just like Krishna, to bestow spiritual powers to the devotees. And he's also the Adi Guru. Bala means spiritual strength. So we should not just think it's physical strength. It is spiritual strength. Some less intelligent people, they interpret Bala as the strength of the body. But this is not any mere physical strength. It is spiritual strength of the soul. He's the original spiritual master of all the devotees. And Baldev was also there with Krishna when he was in Sandipani Muni's ashram. And he also killed many asuras, just like Krishna. He killed Dhenukasura and Thalavan. And during the Kurukshetra battle, what did he do? He wanted to remain neutral because he did not want to fight. And somehow or the other, he was also in favor of Duryodhan, but still he remained neutral. And when the final club fight between Duryodhan and Bhimasen happened, he was there at the spot, but he got very upset with Bhima because Bhima struck Duryodhan on the thigh below the belt, and he wanted to retaliate because it was unfair. But then Krishna saved Bhima from the wrath of Balram. So Balram left that place. He was disgusted with Bhima. And then finally, Duryodhan fell down and he died. And the funeral ceremony of Abhimanyu, who's the son of Arjun, was performed by Balaram because he was the maternal uncle. And the Pandavas were so overwhelmed with grief, so they were not able to perform the ceremony. But it was actually Balaram who performed the ceremony. And at the last stage, in Bhagavatam, how it is described, how he takes the form of Sesha, in the form of a white serpent, and then he departs to the spiritual world. So I'll finish this and then I'll take your question, Tulsi Gopi Mataji. The next one is Pradyumna. Pradyumna is the son of Sri Krishna, the first son of Sri Krishna. And we know that he's an incarnation of Kamadev. And there is an interesting fact Prabhupada reveals here that according to some others, he's also an incarnation of Sanat Kumar. And he is the direct son of Srimati Rukmini Devi, who's non-different from Goddess of Fortune. And he was one of those who went to congratulate Arjun upon marrying Subhadra. And he was a very great general especially during the fight with Shalva, he was present. And then actually, it so happened that while fighting with Shalva, at one point he became unconscious in the battlefield, and his charioteer brought him out of the camp to the camp from, I mean, out of the battlefield to the camp. And our Pradyumna rebuked the charioteer. Similar incident happens with Ravana as well. At one point, when Ravana was almost about to faint, his charioteer takes him out, and Ravana rebukes the charioteer. But then the charioteer explains his actions, and then Ravana congratulates him. So, similarly, here we see at one point Pradyumna, he also fainted on the battlefield, and to save the warrior, the charioteer's duty is to take him out of the battlefield to the camp. But then Pradyumna considered it to be not very chivalrous to go away from the battlefield. So he chastised his charioteer. But then again, he went very boldly and he fought with Shalva, and later he became victorious. And he had a lot of information that he gathered from Narad Muni about different demigods, etc. And he's one of the four plenary expansions of Sri Krishna. You all know how it is. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So this Pradyumna is a combined incarnation according to Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Is a combined incarnation of both Pradyumna and the Pradyumna of the quadruple expansion. And there is a section where he inquires about the glories of Brahmanas from Sri Krishna. Finally, he died in the hand of another Bhoja warrior, another king of Rishnis, during the final destruction of the Yadus when they fought with each other. And after his death, he was reinstalled in his original position. This is about Pradyumna. The other son is Charudeshna. He is also a son of Rukmini Devi, and he was present during the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi. He was there at that time also, and he was a very great warrior. There is one information given about him that he fought Vivindaka and he killed him in a fight. I couldn't find who Vivindaka is anywhere. So probably some demon, I don't know. So he fought with him and killed him in a fight. So he's considered a great warrior. The other person is Samba. Everyone knows Samba. He's one of the greatest heroes of the Yadu dynasty, the son of Lord Sri Krishna, his favorite son, the wife of Jambavati, the Amsha of Skanda, or Lord Kartikeya. So he is also the warrior god, he's very, very chivalrous. And he learned the art of military, art of throwing arrows, that is shooting arrows from Arjun. And he was also one of the member of parliaments during the time of Yudhishthir's rule. He was present during the Rajasuya Yajna of Maharaj Yudhishthir. And during the Prabhas, when all the Vrishnis had gone to the Prabhas Yajna, his glories were narrated by Satyaki before Baladev. He was also present along with his father during the Ashwamedha Yajnas of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And this is the tragedy that happened. He was presented in front of some rishis like Durvasa, Narada, and others, dressed as a pregnant woman. And just to make fun, they asked the rishis what child this lady is going to deliver. And the rishis could understand that this is Samba and not a pregnant woman. And they cursed him that he would deliver a lump of iron. And that resulted in the final destruction of the Yadu dynasty. So, like this, because of this, the entire Yadu dynasty was cursed, and finally they killed each other and they died. So, Samba delivered a large lump of iron that was entrusted to Ugrasen, and Ugrasen was the one who said, pulverize it into powder and then put it in the water. And then later we know what happened, and that was the cause of their final death. So all the sons of Lord Krishna left their respective places. That is the verse, okay? So they were all excited that Krishna has come. So they abandoned whatever they were doing. They left aside all their engagements and they went running to receive their exalted father. So this is about all these characters. The characters we saw is Vasudev. Of course, we saw Balaram. Then we saw Ugrasen, Akrura. Then we saw the two sons, many sons, three sons, Pradyumna, Samba, and Charudeshna. So these are the different characters we saw in this particular verse. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I had a question about in the explanation of Ugrasen, The last line Prabhupada writes that after that he prohibited everything. So I just didn't understand what prohibited. What was he prohibiting? Something. Ugrasen, I think.
Ugrasen?
Yeah, I think so. Let's scroll down. After this, he ordered complete prohibition within the Dwarka. What prohibition?
He cut the iron lump into pieces and then pasted it and mixed it up with the sea water on the coast of Dwarka. After this, he ordered complete prohibition within the city of Dwarka and the kingdom. He asked everyone to vacate Dwarka, right? Everybody vacated Dwarka and they all went to Prabhas Kshetra because Dwarka would soon get into water. So there was an order given for everyone to vacate the city and go to Prabhas. And then later there they drank this rice wine and then they uh, fought with each other and they all died.
Acha, so like somebody even cursed that Dwarka will also drown. Like they knew that ahead of time.
Yeah, Krishna actually sends the information, right? The
Oh,
Dwarka
yeah.
was also vacated, yeah.
Through someone, right? He sent the message, I think. I
Yeah.
forgot, I read about that. And the
Yeah.
other question I had was, what is the explanation in the Shastra as to why Balram is supporting the Adharmi Duryodhan and kind of in this pastime? Like apparently always taking the wrong side in that sense. I wonder.
Oh, apparently always taking the wrong side. This was pastime, right? So he was, Krishna, it's always not nice if Krishna is just supportive of one side. You need somebody to support the other side also. He's equal to everyone. So it is a pastime, of course. And whatever Balram does, it is just to enhance the greatness of Krishna and support Krishna and his improve his the sweetness of his pastime. So if you have someone, if everything is very nice and easy, if everybody is just supporting the Pandavas, where's the spice? So I don't know, Mataji. I know this question is often asked, so many answers I've heard, but I don't know because this is, I think, this is how Balram functions. He just wanted to show, it was his mood. He wanted to show favoritism to Duryodhan. He was also the teacher of Duryodhan. He taught him how to wield the mace and the gada, and he had a soft corner towards him. It's not that he supported him blindly. It's just that sometimes you just like certain people, that's all. And he had a soft corner towards him, not that he supported him in all his activities. Because we also see that when they had blasphemed Krishna, he got very upset. When the Kurus blasphemed Krishna, he got very upset and he started dragging the Hastinapur into Yamuna. And so it was not blind love, that is the point. But he, like, how a guru has an affection for his disciple. So, like that, he also thought he's one of his, very loved disciple and very close associate. So much so that he wanted to give, mm, mm, so much so. No, that is not correct. Okay, yeah. Okay. No, I got confused with another story. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. But I think this is how the Leelas are. He likes to support Krishna in all his pastimes and add to Krishna's glories. So others can add. I know there must be other answers also to this.
I mean,
I never thought
in
about
one
it
sense,
deeply.
in
Yeah.
one sense, just before this, where Bhim and Duryodhan fought in the end of Kurukshetra war, just
Mm.
before that, Balram ji had gone for his pilgrimage, and there he ended the life of Roma Harshan.
Yeah.
And so showing how Guru should be, or like that.
Mm.
And contrast to that, when he comes here from there.
No, but Krishna cheated, right? So he was very upset because they didn't follow the codes of war properly, and Krishna told him to cheat. So Bhima cheated. Bhima just followed what Krishna said. Krishna indicated hit him, break the rules and hit him there. So beamed, what Beam did, Balram didn't approve. He said, no, that's not fair. Yeah, but
Okay.
of course, others can add because this is a very commonly asked question, and we must have heard multiple answers to this. So, yeah. Text number 18. वारणेन्द्रं पुर पुरस्कृत्य ब्राह्मणैः ससुमङ्गलैः शङ्खतूर्यनिनादेन ब्रह्मघोषेण चात्रताः प्रत्युजग्मु रथैर्हृष्टा प्रणयागतसाधवसाः. Anyone for translation? Anyone would like to read?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. They hastened towards the Lord on the chariots with Brahman bearing flowers. Before them were elephants and emblems of good fortune, conch shells and bugles were sounded, and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So all of them ran, and before them, there were also elephants, good auspicious emblems like beautiful flowers. We have already seen that flowers and fruits and all that. There were conch shells and bugles that were sounded as a mark of auspiciousness. The Brahmanas were chanting the Vedic hymns. Like this, they all were saturated with affection and they went and received Krishna. So Prabhupada says, the auspicious atmosphere, such as of a reception, depends on paraphernalia that is described above, including conch shells, flowers, incense, decorated elephants, qualified brahmanas reciting from the Vedic literature. Such a program of reception full of sincerity on the part of both the receiver and the received. Even now in certain very traditional ancient temples, when they wake up the Lord every day morning, they have a reception like this. I'm talking about deities. When they wake up deities, they have all these different paraphernalia. Even now, when we do Mangalarati, also we blow the conch shell and then we offer flowers and incense. And in some ancient temples, you will see that first an elephant and a cow is the first thing that the deity sees. Okay, so they bring a real elephant, and as soon as the screen is opened, a beautifully decorated elephant, and then the Lord sees a cow, then only the Mangalarti begins. So there's a very ancient culture. But at least at homes we can't bring an elephant. But the basic thing we can do is blow the conch shell, offer flowers and incense. So these are all very beautiful ways of welcoming the Lord. So that is what was done there. Then the text 19. So let's see what happened next. Who are the others who came? Varamukayascha shashato yanaistad dashanotsukaha lasat kundala nirbhata kapola vadana shriya. Anybody wants to read translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads.
Very good. So many people ask this question. Oh, even for the Lord, why prostitutes? Where is the need? Why prostitutes even in the city of Dwaraka? Prabhupada explains that very beautifully in the purport. He says one should not hate prostitutes, first of all, if they are devotees of the Lord. Okay, so they were all Dwarka Vasis. They were great devotees of the Lord. And he says, even to this day, there are so many prostitutes. And but however, they are very sincere devotees of the Lord. Many of them, like we read the story of Pingala later in Srimad Bhagavatam. how she was actually a great self-realized soul. She was a great devotee and she was so disgusted with his material enjoyment. Mm. Some prostitutes are great devotees of the Lord, so one should not judge a person by one's profession. And he says sometimes by tricks of chance, one may be obliged to adopt a profession which is not very respected in society, but that does not hamper one from executing devotional service to the Lord. So, whatever the profession may be, if one is a devotee, he is a devotee. He or she should not be judged based on the profession that they have taken because of circumstances. So it's sad, yeah, they are under that circumstance, uncheckable circumstances, Prabhupada says. Sometimes one is put in such a situation. And then he tells why even cities like Dwaraka, where Lord Krishna resided, there were prostitutes. He says, this means that sometimes such prostitutes are needed for the citizens to keep up the proper for the proper upkeep of the society. And he gives a parallel example. If we don't understand why, he gives us an example. He says sometimes the government opens wine shops. Okay, like you have this, what is it called in India? There's a name for that. The government approved wine shops.
Tasmak.
Thank you. Yeah, it's called TASMAC. So these are government approved, okay? So such government approved wine shops are there. When such government approved wine shops are there, it is not to encourage the people to drink wine. The government knows that anyhow there will be a class of men who will drink at any cost. So instead of them doing it illegally or doing it at a manner where they are smuggling the wine and so on, it is better to have some regulation and some supply for the people who will anyhow need it. Similarly, he says some men are not satisfied at home or with their situation and they require to go and see people like prostitutes. They are low men and they need it. So there is an organized way of prostitutes that are also available in many societies. So it is, he says it is better to maintain a class of prostitutes than to encourage prostitutes within the society rather than um, forcing or rather than creating artificially. It is better that the society itself has certain people marked as prostitutes. So the real reformation is to enlighten people to become devotees of the Lord. Doesn't matter what their bodily condition or their
Excuse
bodily
me, Mataji. Today they are called as sex workers, Mataji.
sex workers. Yeah, yeah. So it is anyhow whatever their job is, right? It's whatever it may be. At the end of the day, everybody can become a devotee. And if they are a devotee, they are not to be judged. And we see the classic example of Bilva Mangal Thakur. And we know the story of Bilva Mangal Thakur, how he was very attached to one such prostitute. But who was Chintamani? She became the guru of Bilva Mangal Thakur. And Bilva Mangal Thakur composed his first verse as gratitude to Chintamani. She was the one who created a devotee. She opened the eyes of Bilva Mangal Thakur. So you know how, and during a dreadful night after performing the final rites of his father, he was holding on to the corpse and he swam across just to be with her. And she said, if you have the same eagerness, she was the one who opened his eyes. She just made a statement, if you show this eagerness in worshipping the Lord, then your position will be something great. And that is when Bilva Mangal Thakur was corrected and he came to the right path. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day, Krishna consciousness is open to everybody and anyone can take to this path. So the prostitutes of Dwaraka were also eager to meet the Lord and they were unalloyed devotees and they were on the path of salvation. Prabhupada says, according to the Bhagavad Gita, they're going to be liberated devotees. So, mm, so they all ran. They didn't know anything other than the Lord. So they were literally running to see the Lord. Prabhupada says so nicely, he says here, Therefore, the only reformation that is necessary in society is to make an organized effort to turn the citizens into devotees of the Lord. And thus, all good qualities of the denizens of heaven will overtake them in their own way. On the other hand, those who are non devotees, they have no good qualifications whatsoever, however materially they may be advanced. The difference is that the devotees of the Lord are on the path of liberation, whereas the non devotees, they are on the path of further entanglement and material bondage. So, the criterion of advancement of civilization is whether people are educated and advanced on the path of salvation. That is what we have to see. And in Dwaraka, Prabhupada says all of them were on the path to salvation. So, there is no question of judgment. Okay. Who else went running to receive the Lord? नटनर्तकगन्धर्वाः सूतमागधवादिनः गायन्ति चोत्तमश्लोकचरितानि adbhutani cha. Anyone would like to read translation?
Hare Krishna, dear Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord. Thus they proceeded on and on. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada, dear Mataji.
Very well. So all of them, all the great artists, the dramatists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, public speakers, they all went running to receive the Lord. And they wanted to do their service. So when the Lord comes, the singers wanted to sing for him, the dancers wanted to dance and receive him. There are people who are genealogists. They talk about the genealogy, the great family lineage of Sri Krishna and glorify him. There are jesters, like people who make who tell jokes. There are public speakers, like that, so many people. And Prabhupada says all these people who went running, they are not from the Brahmana community. Generally, these people, they belong to the Shudra community. And but however, they become so well trained, and they always dwell on the subject of the Lord's superhuman activities. So they may not be Brahmanas who are chanting Vedic mantras. They might be from low caste. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. They were great devotees because their only business was to sing the glories of the Lord. So, like this, Prabhupada is talking about all these devotees. He says all the Puranas are historical facts that is described in relation with the Supreme Lord in different ages and time and different places. So we cannot find any perfect chronological order. And similarly, these people, they were simply interested in glorifying the Lord, and they might have not been in proper chronological order. So the people who went and who were glorifying the Lord. And he also talks about modern historians. He says modern historians, they think our Puranas are all made up stories, but one should understand these are true occurrences, though they may not be able to put it in proper chronology sometimes. But of course, Bhagavatam is actually very much in chronology. It is easy to track now, thanks to these beautiful books like Subodhini. It is very easy to track the chronology of Srimad Bhagavatam, why it is written in a particular way. So, like this, all these different entertainers, they went and they entertained the Lord and they welcomed him. And Prabhupada says the genealogists, they would give an account completely of the descendants of a particular family. Even at the present moment, the guides and pilgrimage sites of India submit a complete account of genealogical tables before a newcomer. This wonderful act sometimes attracts more customers to receive such important information. I remember recently I went to Hampi, and we were seeing the ruins of the Vijayanagara Empire. And there, people knew everything, who was Krishna Devaraya, the king, who are his wives, who was his father before that, who were the kings, who was their spiritual master, and then who are the different spiritual guides of the entire kingdom. So much information they have. The guides, they know in and out of a civilization. So that is how it was even at the time of Krishna when he was in Dwaraka. Okay, let's continue. भगवांस्तत्र बन्धूनां पौराणम् अनुवर्तिनां यथाविधि उपसङ्गम्य सर्वेषां मानमददे. Anyone wants to read translation?
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all other who came to receive and welcome him. Hare Krishna.
So this is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he went to that place when everyone was coming towards him. He goes, he approaches them. Such a nice Lord, right? It's uh, in today's world, if there is an important person, he doesn't care for the throngs of people who are coming and paying respects or welcoming him. He's just ready to shove them away, and then he wants to make his path and not even look at the people around him. But this was not how Lord Sri Krishna was. Lord Sri Krishna, he's Bhagavan. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. How did he interact with these people who came to see him? He offered them due honor and respect to each and every one of them, yatha vidhi, as it behooves, as it behooves. Depending on who they were, if they were friends, he interacted with them in a particular way. If they were citizens, he accepted their offerings and acknowledged them. If it was his close relatives, he embraced them. So, depending on who it was, he accepted everybody. Sarvesham, everyone with lot of manam, with lot of honor and respect. So everybody was respected. Yatha vidhi, as it behooves. He reciprocates depending on how you approach him. Ye yatha mam prapatyante, tams tathaiva pachamyaham. So Prabhupada says, of course, the pure devotees are one type only because they have no other object for service but the Lord. And therefore, the Lord also reciprocates with such pure devotees as it behooves. Namely, he is always attentive to the matters of the pure devotees. So that is what is yatha vidhi. So as it behooves, he reciprocates with us. But however, he satisfies everybody. Everybody is satisfied in terms of the development of their spiritual consciousness. So, depending on how they received him, depending on their relationship with Krishna, he reciprocated accordingly. But his pure devotees are always special, right? Yes, his devotees are always special. Krishna also says that in Bhagavad Gita. I reciprocate with everybody, but then my pure devotees are very, very important to me. For them, I have something special. Okay. So everybody went, they received the Lord. We saw the different kinds of people. Now we'll continue to see text 22, how Krishna continues to honor everybody. Prabhava भिवादनाश्लेष करस्पर्श स्मितेक्षणैः आश्वास्य चाश्वपाकेभ्यो वरैश्चाभिमतिर्विभू. Anyone wants to read translation?
The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances and awarding benedictions even to the lowest in rank.
So sweet. Even our spiritual masters are like that. When they see us, they acknowledge everybody. They smile, they fold their palms, they at least nod their head. This is how a devotee is. This is how the Supreme Lord is. The follower of the Supreme Lord is also like this. So the Almighty Lord, he greeted everyone present by bowing down his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking, smiling, giving assurances, and awarding benedictions even to the lowest rank. And what does everyone want? All of us, we just want the sidelong glance of the Lord. We just want one smile from the Lord, and that's enough for us. We say this even for our spiritual masters, right? If we just get a glance from our spiritual master or just a smile, that is enough for this lifetime. Like that one embrace from spiritual master is enough for the entire lifetime. That's it. It feels like you've perfected your life. So similarly, these people in Dwaraka, when they just saw Krishna, they were thinking, oh, this sidelong glance is enough. And Krishna was really blessing each one of them. He was awarding benedictions just with his glance, his embrace, his smile, shaking hands, whatever it may be. So Prabhupada says just to receive Krishna, so many different kinds of people had come. Beginning from his own father Vasudev, his grandfather Ugrasen, his spiritual master Gargamuni, from that caliber until the prostitutes and the chandalas, everybody had come. And the Lord did not ignore anybody. The Lord properly greeted everyone in terms of rank and position. That is the beauty of the Lord, and that's what we also have to learn, right? Sometimes when power comes, right, we forget everything, and we think we are the only persons who are the center of the universe, and we don't care for the people who are coming to reciprocate with us. So I should understand pure living entities. All of them are pure living entities, and all of them are parts and parcels of the Lord. So everybody is equal in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord is equally affectionate to every single part and parcel. And his only business when it comes to this material world is to recall all these materialistic living beings and take them back to his kingdom of, back to Godhead. So nobody is rejected. In fact, it is mentioned, Jiva Swarupa Krishna and Nityadas, and every single living entity is eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Nobody is rejected. Nobody is rejected. Prabhupada says no one is rejected by the Lord from the kingdom of God, and it remains within the living being to accept this or not. It's up to us. He has a grand welcome in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He tells us about the spiritual world and he extends a welcome. He says, come there, you'll be happy. He's calling everyone. He'll be very happy, and he's waiting for each one of us to go there. He's just waiting. And we see in the story of Gopakumar how when Gopakumar goes back, he's like, I'd been waiting for you all these years. I was waiting when you would come. So we think we are separated from the Lord, and it's going to give us immense happiness when He's seen face to face. But the happiness that the Lord receives when He sees us face to face is a million times more. And that's what Shastra says. So, yeah, the Upanishads say when you go to the spiritual world, the Lord asks Kosi, who are you? And then you say, I am spirit, so Aham Brahmasmi. And then he makes you sit on his lap and he smells your head. This is what Upanishads say. And we see this, why he smells your head, because he's the father. Okay. So this is the Vaikuntha Rasa, of course. But then in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna will come and embrace you and he'll faint, like how we see the embrace between Gopakumar and Sri Krishna. And he'll ask you, why did you leave me? And why did you get separated from me for so many years? I was missing you so much. So that is our Lord. Someday we'll get there and we'll have the embrace of the Lord. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu. Please add.
Mataji, very nice. Realization is that we are 24 right now on this Zoom. Lord Krishna is 25th. He promised, he told Narad that Yadragayati Madhvara Tatra Tishtami Narad. Only thing is we are considered, we are conditioned, we cannot perceive him. Atasi Krishna Namadina Bhavad Grahim Indre. But he is with us. We should have that conviction that he is with us. Whenever we meet and do his charcha, then he is always with us. So I all personally also believe that, Bhavan Krishna takes charge of anyone who takes shelter of pure devotees like Sri Prabhupada. And this we can also experience in our life in so many situations like that. So that's what little realization I want to share, Mata. Thank you.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Okay, 23. स्वयं च गुरुभिर्विप्रै सधारैः स्तवरैरपि आशीभिर्युज्यमानोऽन्यैर्वन्दिभिश्चाविशत्पुरम्. Anyone wants to read translation?
Hare
I
Krishna.
can read, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji. Then the
Can I
Lord
read, Mataji?
personally entered the city accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praised the glories of the Lord.
Thank you. So the Lord personally entered the city. Of course, all his elderly relatives and the older brahmanas with their wives, all of them, they were singing the glories of the Lord and they were walking. So, Prabhupada, when we talk about brahmanas, the verse talks a little bit about brahmanas. So, Prabhupada says the brahmanas in society, they were never attentive to banking money for future retired life. The brahmanas of today always worried about accumulating money for future, right? But the brahmanas in society those days, they were not at all worried about hoarding money. And even if they were old and invalid, they used to approach their wives, they used to approach with their wives the assembly of kings, and simply praising the glorious deeds performed by the kings, they would be provided with necessities of life. So they were not actually flattering the kings, but they were glorifying sincerely in a very dignified way, and they would get remuneration from the kings. So, like this, Krishna, he was also received by the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas were also doing stuti of Sri Krishna, but then Krishna is worthy of all glories, right? So, the Brahmanas and others, they were actually doing themselves a favor by glorifying Krishna. That's what Prabhupada is telling. So they were doing the right thing. They were doing the right thing. They were glorifying Krishna in various ways. And this was the culture. The Brahmanas would get remuneration from the kings when they glorified appropriately. Okay. Now, I think this is continuing. Okay, we'll continue this. And then the beauty of Krishna is later described. Those verses are very beautiful from 25 onwards. 25, 26, 27. Very, very beautiful allegorical verses. But we'll go to that in a minute. राजमार्गं गते कृष्णे द्वारकाय कुलस्त्रियः कर्मण्यान्ये आहुर्विप्र तदीक्षण महोत्सवाः. Anyone would like to read translation?
I can read, Mataji. Hare Krishna Pranam. When Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all the ladies from the respectable families of Dwarka went up to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival. Hare Krishna.
Tadikshana Mahautsavaha. Just to look upon him, Tadikshana, just to see him was what? Mahautsava. For whom? For all the ladies, all the Kulastriya. They were all from respectable families. And what did they do? Aruruhu. They went up on top of the balconies, on top of the terraces, just to see Krishna who was coming in the Rajamargam of Dwaraka. Just to see him, they were so excited. They went on to the roofs of the palaces to look at the Lord. And for them, just seeing him is the greatest of all festivals. Just taking darshan, just looking at the Lord, that is the biggest festival for them. So, and Prabhupada says, to just have a look at the Lord is the greatest festive, undoubtedly. That is the greatest festival. And he says this culture is still followed in by many devout ladies in India. especially during the day of Julan Yatra and Janmashtami. The ladies in India, they still throng in great numbers, and they want to go and see the beauty of the Lord. And we should understand that the temple deity is non-different from the Lord personally. So the form of the Lord in the temple is called as Archa Vigraha, which means he's an Archa incarnation. He is directly an expansion of the Lord, and out of his causeless mercy, he has made himself available for our service. So he comes to the material world, he takes on a material form, though he is not material. He readily comes into wood or stone so that we can worship him. So Prabhupada tells us these material senses, they cannot perceive the spiritual nature of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord accepts an Archa Vigraha, which may be made with elements like earth, wood, stone, but actually there is no contamination. The Lord is Kaivalya. Kaivalya means he is one alone and there is no matter in him. He is one without a second, and he can appear in any form without being contaminated by material conception. So he is always spirit, but he can choose to come within matter. But it doesn't make him it doesn't make him identify with matter, basically. He's always spiritual. So the festivals in the temple of the Lord are held generally, and festivals during the days of Dwaraka, that 5,000 years ago, those kind of festivals are also present even to this day in various temples. So that's why the acharyas, they know that under regulative principles that one should follow festivals so that they can connect with the beautiful deity of the Lord. And we should remember that the form of the Lord present in the temple is not some sort of idol. It is actually a deity. Deity means the Lord himself comes and takes presence there. It is not just some doll or some form of idol worship. So deity worship is something very high class, very, very superior. So the ladies or men who observe festivals in the temple of the Lord, just to have a look at the transcendental form, are 1,000 times more glorious than those who are non-believers in the transcendental form of the Lord. So like this, the Dwarkavasis, the women especially, the Dwarka city was very, very prosperous, and it had lots of palaces, and the ladies, they went on to the roofs because they wanted to see the procession of the Lord. And they did not want to openly mix, especially the aristocratic women. They didn't want to openly mix with the crowd of men. So they like to be a little more separate in their quarters. They like to maintain that distance. So that's why they were staying back in their palaces and they were going to the roofs, and they were observing. And Prabhupada says this kind of female respectability is preserved more elegantly by keeping women separate from the man. And the two sexes don't mix unrestrictedly. So this is also a part of Vedic culture where there is no unnecessary mixing. So the women, they got onto the roof so that they could get darshan of the Lord, just like the ladies of Hastinapur. We see a similar scene with the ladies of Hastinapur. And Nityam nirikshamananam yadapi dvarakau kasam navritpyanti hi drishya shriyo dhamagnamatchutam. Anyone would like to read translation?
The inhabitants of the Dwarakas were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, the infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated.
No. So Krishna is the abode of all beauty. Dhamangam, his entire body is a reservoir of all beauty. Shriya Dhamangam. Shriya's beauty, Dhamangam, meaning his body is a reservoir of all beauty. And who is he? Is Achyuta. He's never fallible. This beautiful form of the Lord, infallible Lord. He was a reservoir of all beauty. Though the Dwarkavasis saw him regularly, He's one of them, right? He lives in the city of Dwarka. Though the inhabitants of Dwarka were regularly accustomed to see the reservoir of all beauty, the infallible Lord, still they were never satisfied. They were never ever satisfied, because this is how the Lord's beauty is. When we look at Him, also, we never feel satisfied. How many of us say, okay, I've taken darshan of the deity once and I'm done? We want to go again and again to see the Lord. Right? So that is the beauty of the Lord. So these ladies in of the city of Dwaraka, they went up to the roofs and they had seen the Lord many times in the past, but then they had no satiation. They wanted to see the Lord again and again. So Prabhupada says sometimes things in the material world, when we see them multiple number of times, they become unattractive by the law of satiation. Just like watching movies, for example. If you've seen a movie once and then the same movie is played in front of you again and again, you're like saturated. You're like, no, I've seen this enough. I don't want to see it. But then if you see the beautiful form of the Lord, that has no satiation. You want to see the form of the Lord again and again. So the law of satiation, it acts only in the material platform, but then in the spiritual realm, there is no such a law of satiation, because it is only ever increasing. There's no question of stoppage. Our desire only increases to see the form of the Lord. And here the Lord is called as Achyuta. Achyuta means infallible. Infallible because though he is mercifully descended to this terrible earth, I mean this material world, still he is infallible. Still he is not touched. There's no material tinge of inebriety. There's no touch of material world on the Supreme Lord. So, but however, we living entities, we are fallible, because the minute we come in contact with the material world, we forget our spiritual identity, and we get this material body that is subject to birth, growth, transformation, and deterioration, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. But however, the Lord's body is not like that. Even if he comes here, he's not under the laws of the modes of material nature. When he comes as a deity, he still remains spiritual, though he is descending and he's ready to take the form that is given by material nature, like wood or metal. He comes inside that and he's ready to take service from us. Though he's coming into material elements, he's always spiritual. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, when he comes as an incarnation, that is, he descends down to earth, he's never touched by the material modes. But however, we are always fallible. We are touched by the modes of material nature. But the Lord's body is always transcendental. And every time you see the Lord, it is an expression of newer and newer beauties. So the transcendental name, form, qualities, entourage, there is no satiation in any of these. Not only the form of the Lord, even the transcendental name, even his entourage, whatever it is, anything to do with the Lord, there is no satiation. And Prabhupada gives the example of the holy names of the Lord. Is there any satisfaction in chanting the holy names of the Lord? He says there is no limitation. There is absolutely no limitation. Krishna is the source, and whatever is related to Krishna, it is ever satisfying. So that satisfaction only increases. Nam, Rupa, Guna, Leela, everything related to Krishna. When you read the Leela of the Lord, is there any satisfaction? The same Leela we read every time. We keep reading Damodar Leela every time during Kartik Mas. Do we feel satisfied? No, we want to hear again and again. How many of us say, oh, I've heard the Damodar Leela, I'm done. No, you want to hear it again and again, and it reveals something newer and newer every time. Similarly, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Every time we read Srimad Bhagavatam, there is something new for us. So that is the nature of the Lord. It is ever, 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 ever increasing. There is no question of satiation. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
I was, after everything, I guess, is discussed, can you like briefly share some light on what Subodhini explains about the chronology, that point you said in
Oh,
Bhagavatam?
no. I just said, no, I said, Prabhupada says that one should not get too caught up on chronology of the events. that has happened in history, in what is mentioned in the Puranas. But what I was trying to tell is that even our Srimad Bhagavatam is actually in perfect chronology, meaning it goes in proper order. Sometimes we are not able to track the chronology, it is our fault. Why I said that and why I brought in Subodhini is because when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam starts off with some incidents in Swayambhuva Manu's rule, and then gradually it goes on. It goes on to the other Manvantaras, and there is a particular order in which Bhagavatam is presented. And this order is very nicely documented in the Subodhini, I said, meaning the Subodhini helps us track. Even if you missed a connection from one chapter to the other, or why suddenly there is a shift in topic, there is some nice inputs given from the commentaries that is being noted. So with the guidebooks like this, it becomes easy for us to track the flow of Bhagavatam. That's all I meant to say. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, even Kramasandarbha. Krama means what? A particular order. You read Kramasandarbha commentary by Srila Jeev Goswami. He also takes in a lot of effort to put the proper chronology of the Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. So, yeah. Yeah, Praladananda Prabhu, please add.
Mataji, the same sentiment was, depicted in that slok where the sages said, Vayam tu na vitrutyama uttam slok vikrame. Yes, Srunvatam Saras Jnanam Swadu Swadu Pade Pade. So even Krishna Bhagavan's katha is like that, what to speak when they are seeing him face to face like that. So that was little reflection I wanted to share, Mata.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's a beautiful verse. Thank you. So I don't want to do these two verses. They're actually very beautiful and pretty much the most important verses of this chapter. 26 and 27 are the most important verses, the most beautiful. If I do this, no? If I touch it, we have 4 more minutes. So these are the two most beautiful, but we'll just read I'll just read the verse and translation, we'll stop. And Mataji probably on Tuesday will unpack this. It's a very beautiful verse. It takes a while to unpack this verse. These are the two important verses in this chapter, 26 and 27. They can be done together because it is about the beauty of the Lord. And there's a lot of analogies, and very nicely Bhagavatam has compared the Lord's beauty. So we have to relish this verse, but I'll just read it for everyone's pleasure. Shriyanivaso yasyoraha panapatram mukam drisham bahavo lokapalanam saranganam padambujam. Shriyaha, the goddess of fortune, Nivasaha, the residential place, Srinivasaha, residential place of the goddess of fortune, which is the chest of Narayana. Yasya, one whose, Uraha, chest, Panapatram, the drinking pot, Mukam, face, Drisham, of eyes, Bahavaha, the arms, Lokapalanam, of the administrative demigod, Saranganam. Sarangana means the devotees of who talk and sing the essence or substance. Saram means the Lord. Saranga means one who sings the glories of the Lord, who is the devotee. Okay. So Saranga, it's not Sharanga. Sharanga is the Dhanva. It is the bow of the Lord. Sharanga Pani, they say. This is Saranga. Saranga means devotee. Okay. One who seeks the glory of the Lord is Saranga. Padambajam, the lotus feet. The Lord's chest is the abode of the goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are the resting places for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge of the Sarangas, the pure devotees, who never talk or sing any subject except his lordship. So just keep that in your meditation, and we'll unpack the verse in our next class, and we'll stop here. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Hare Krishna, dear Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Mataji, I have a question that as you were mentioning that there are different people of different professions were welcoming Krishna, and one profession was prostitute, and because uh, uh Mataji, like they were all devotees, right? So they needed to follow the four regulative principle, no?
See, how can I say this now? Okay. Four regulator principles. Yes, as sadhakas, we all need to follow four regulator principles. Then only we can come to the platform of goodness, and then we can have the right knowledge, and we can progress in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Now, for prostitutes, if that is their profession and still they are able to be pure devotees, one may not be able to judge them. One need not judge them. That is the understanding that we have. So, which means it's not that only people who are following four regulator principles are devotees, first and foremost thing. But if you want to be a devotee, you should follow four regulator principles. You want to be a devotee, you want to be a sadhaka, you should follow four regulator principles so that you can have a structured, organized, devotional life, Krishna-centric life. This is the sadhana that is given to us by our acharyas. But then don't think that other than this, nobody is a devotee. There could be others who may not be following four regulative principles, but still they could be devotees of the Lord. Just like we see so many examples. We see so many examples in Shastra. Like for example, the story of Dharma Vyadha in Mahabharata. So he was a butcher, but he was a devotee. And we see the story of Pingala. She was a prostitute, but she was a devotee. Like that, there are hundreds and thousands of examples of people's consciousness which is very advanced. Like we talk about Jagannath Puri. We say even if they are eating fish, still they have four-armed form. So there are exceptional devotees everywhere, everywhere. Just because they have a certain physical limitation or they're doing something which may be abominable in our eyes, we cannot judge them. But ideally, if you're following the four regulative principle, it is the common recommendation for everyone. One can progress. They are all exceptions, and they are able to have that. They are citizens of Dwarka. They are having the direct darshan and association of the Lord, so they are definitely special. Think about the Yadus. How did they die? Because of the great. Because they were all drunk, right? they all they were drunk. They also broke regulative principles, but they are not ordinary people. They are associates.
Oh, true, Mataji. That's why devotion doesn't have any qualification like Sri Aisha, Sutta Sri Aishwarya. No qualification for devotion. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Very good. Just like people are asked this question, if Garuda is a great, if Prabhupada writes that in the purport. Garuda, yeah, we say he's the greatest devotee of the Lord. Prabhupada just wrote that in the purport that we read today also. But Garuda eats fish. Is Garuda non-vegetarian? How can he eat? That is his natural food. But it doesn't mean that in the temple in front of Garuda deity you go and offer fish. You can't do that. You should offer him rice only.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is according to the Pancharatra Agama. You should follow the rules and regulations of deity worship. Similarly, we also follow the rules and regulations as laid down by our acharyas to live a nice, regulated lifestyle so that we can come to the mode of goodness, so that we can worship Krishna without hindrances. Because once we get diverted, it is very difficult to bring us back in track. Now, if you are eating meat, if you are having whatever relationship, all that, when will we think of Krishna, right?
True,
But at the same time, there are great personalities who have also been in different situations, yet great devotees. Okay.
Mataji. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I just had a thought that means once I had heard many years ago that those who were in Braj Bhumi or in Dwarka, like those who were the family members of Krishna, they didn't have any guru to connect to God. Their directly connection was Krishna, and they didn't need a guru disciple sampradaya in between them. So I was thinking along that lines that maybe in this verse the purport says that they were all on the path of salvation, and so are we. Like we, according to Prabhupada, like we had so many bad habits, so many things, and now we are on the path of salvation. So through our guru, and they were on their path of salvation by directly coming in contact with Krishna. So
Very good.
so it is possible that up until that point there were some mistakes or whatever happened in their life, but after that point they suddenly became, that was that switch, like they were at just how quickly they could come to bhav and prem stage and completely get purified upon seeing Lord Krishna, welcoming him. Maybe they didn't get enough chances to see him earlier, and after Krishna got separated for a long time, and then they heard great things, and now they became eager that now we have a chance to see Krishna. And now if we don't see, then when should we see? We were separated and now we are united, and in that anticipation maybe all their sins were purified and they completely, I guess, became surrendered and pure. And this is my speculation, but this is how I see that if we see our lifetimes, maybe in previous lifetimes we did so many things, and all of a sudden in few decades, by Prabhupada's mercy and Guru Parampara, we have progressed. I'm not saying we became pure. Some of you have become pure, but not me yet. But I see that hope that yes, anything can happen at some transition phase, and maybe this verse we can see it that yes, no matter what their past was, but now they were going with full offerings of their heart, and upon
Very
seeing
good.
Krishna they got completely purified and became pure devotees.
Jai, very nice, Mataji. Very nice. Yes. Thank you so much.
Mataji, what to speak of having direct connection with Lord Sri Krishna? Where Sukdev Goswami gives the final verdict, Nam Sankirtan Yasya Sarva Papa Pranasanam. So if we do congregational chanting, our paths will be washed out and we will become better persons. It all depends upon Bhagavan Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy. But still, Sukdev Goswami has given such a nice verdict at the last sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
laughter is such a powerful tool for Kali Yuga, for all of us like that. So that's very potent, purifying thing which we should accept and do it sincerely as much as we can. Thank you, Mata. Haribo.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhuji. That's true. You have the gift of the holy names. Yes. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. What more do we need? Yes, and it's all about where our consciousness is absorbed. One may be following four regulative principles very strictly, but his consciousness may be about himself, how great one is, fanning his ego and not having the consciousness absorbed in Krishna. So what? Is he a devotee? Certainly not. Just because he's following the four regulative principles, it doesn't make him a devotee, right? So it's all about where your consciousness is absorbed and how it is absorbed. Yeah. Gaurang Gopal Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, initially during the class we were discussing that earlier days marriages in the same gotra was not practiced. The bride and the bridegroom needs to be of different gotra. But in ISKCON, when we are given diksha, everybody is Achyuta gotra, isn't it, Mataji? but devotees are marrying. So, I mean,
Oh, Krishna. Okay. Okay. Gotra there, it means seminal lineage, Prabhu. That's what I meant. That is what Gotra actually means. I mean, of course, in that sense, I meant Gotra, but here it is not really in the same seminal lineage, right? We are just taking under Gotra, Achyuta Gotra, because we are all servants of Krishna. So sometimes we just become servants of the Lord and we do not belong to a specific family. We are all Krishna's family. That's what we are trying to say. But when I said Gotra that time, I meant to say seminal lineage. That is the same family.
okay.
Got it, Mataji.
Thank you for that
Okay.
question. And I was thinking you're going to ask something else. If you read Bhagavatam very much in detail, you will see even marriage between the same seminal. I thought you were going to ask that question, and I was thinking, okay, now I have to open up a different topic. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it's
Mataji.
such. Yeah. Okay, sure. Very good. Thank you. Okay, we'll end here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavavrinda Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai. All glories to all the assembled devotees. And we continue from this very beautiful verse, Shriya Nivasaha. And Mataji will cover those two beautiful verses for you next class. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank